GMGM, how are you today? I'm Paria from Magical Lords team. We are here with another lovely episode of my spaces. You know, did you recognize that we are together more than a month? Oh my god, I'm so happy and excited about this journey that we started together. So make sure you go on with the last videos that I made for you because you can find tons of information there. So don't forget to subscribe my YouTube. Okay, and who do you think we have today? We have two other lovely souls in Web3 space. We will talk to dear Lord Truffington and Icky. These two lovely souls accepted my invitation and they are just going to talk about their experiences as artists and collectors. So make sure that you don't miss this episode. By the way, English is not my first language as most of you know, but for those who doesn't, I sometimes have some barriers with English, so please bear with me. Let's start the chat.
Okay, hi again.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon.
Hi, GM. Sorry
Can you
for the
hear me
delay.
okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. You can hear me.
Okay, let me switch to the Wi-Fi.
Can anybody hear me? Please just show some. Okay, it seems that Elmira can hear me. Hi, Paradis. Are you there?
Yeah, hello everyone. Hello, good morning, good afternoon. I am here and so happy. I just shared the space with the group. And yeah, how are you today? How are you, Icky Lord? Welcome.
Very well, thank you. Do we want to get Lord Truffington up on the stage? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just sent him the invitation, but maybe.
Okay. Very well, thank you. Yeah, no good. Busy,
Yeah,
busy, busy.
I want to say hello to Ibrahim, and also I know now Shash is here and he always come and in the spaces sometimes he sit and it's our honor, and I want to say hello to dear Shash. Yeah.
Okay. Before we start, I just want to say to all of you that, I have sometimes some internet, and as you see it in the first couple of minutes. So if I don't think that would happen, but if anything happened to me, I just restarted, and please join me again. So yeah, I just wanted to say that.
You got it. Sorry, I'm just doing a couple of things in the background, but I'm ready to go when you are.
Okay, yeah. I think I can just share a little music so people can join me, and you can just finish your stops, and Lord can join us up here during that time. So let me just play a little music, and we can just start it after 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, let's start the space, and maybe in some minutes, Lord can just come up. Okay, hi again. Hi everybody. How are you today?
I'm well, thank you. I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Thank you. I'm great, and we are going to have a very lovely chat today because we have you and Lord. For the start, I want to know more about you, Icky. If you don't mind, please talk a little about yourself and your journey, art journey, NFT journey, and all such stuff for us. Thank you.
Wow. So you want the origin story? Oh, good lord. I was born in 19. No, I was kidding. I'm not going to bore everyone with that. No, look, I've been an artist for over 20 years. I started a career in working in kind of commercial capacity with Island Records UK, where I worked with Amy Winehouse on the Frank and Back to Black albums, and kind of worked in that industry with Universal for many years. And then when Provenance kind of came about, and I realised that I could actually do what I wanted to do, which was my art, because I did a lot of stuff in between then. It's been a long time, and I wore many hats. I kind of started to kind of do my own work, and I've always been interested in digital display mediums, and I worked a lot on live kind of live audio and viz. So hologram, AR, all this kind of interesting stuff, large screen format digital work, and 3D mostly. But my personal work, it takes, I guess, cues from both minimalism and conceptual art, but subverts the aesthetic of and the tropes of both of those traditions to provide kind of a unique commentary on things that I enjoy or am interested in. I like to ask questions, and I'm always interested in asking questions and having people consider things that perhaps they may not, in a day-to-day kind of experience. So yeah, that's about it.
Wow, lovely, but thank you. It was amazing. I really loved that. But I really wanted to know more about your born time, actually.
More about my which time?
Born when you just born, and yeah.
Oh yeah. I was
Trying to
all you need to know is I was a reckless teenager, and actually, I was born in London, and I'm still in London. I live at the in Battersea at the power station development. I don't know if you like brutalism, but it's beautiful. So that's where I'm based. And I was reckless, and during those, the reason I left the kind of music industry was because I didn't really have much self control, and it was the best thing for me at the time. So there you go. That's a bit more an insight into my personality, shall we say?
Wow, yeah. Thank you. It was amazing. And hi, Lord. How are you?
Hi, GM friends. I have to apologize because I was on the spaces but couldn't hear a thing and didn't see the little bars next to the name, so I thought we were just waiting. And then someone else wrote me a message and said, they are talking. And so I had to get out of the spaces and log back in again, and now I can hear you. I surely apologize. Anyway, amazing, amazing. I'm doing super well. Thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you for accepting the invitation. Yeah, maybe it is just some problems from me as well, because I'm just sending Pardis to be my co-host, but I see the error. I don't know what would happen to the end of the space. I hope that we don't rag, actually. So, oh my God.
Yeah,
I should just have a talk with you.
Actually, I cannot get any request for co-hosting, and I go outside and again come, and it's something like as a right. And again, I want to say hello to Lord and Icky, and this today I'm not co-host. Maybe it's a right of the space. Hello there,
Thank you. Thank you.
Your voice is a little raggy for me. Is it the same for others, or it is just for me?
It is just for you because you live in the small city in the and
It's not
your
small,
internet is
actually. I live just in Iran, and oh my God,
no
no
because
problem.
in Iran we have a, everything's just in Tehran, but you live in Shiraz, and it's not important for government Shiraz. That's why you don't have internet.
Okay, no problem. Let's go on. Uh, Lord, it is just your turn. I want to know more about you. I saw you lots of times, but I need to know more about you. We went to Hogwarts with Icky, and now I think we should just go to Italy, maybe some pasta and something like that.
Indeed. Okay, so let me tell you about myself. Why don't you all relax, take a drink? It's going to take a few hours and we'll be done. No, I'm joking. I'll be quick. So I am originally I'm Italian. I've been living in London for about 20 plus years. So I define myself as a Londoner with an Italian accent. Currently, actually, I'm in sunny Lisbon, spending the summer here because why not? And and I so my background is actually nothing to do with art. I was in finance for 10 plus years in investment banking and hedge funds and all those really nasty things that a lot of people hate. And then I decided to have a change of career, became a tech entrepreneur, starting my own business in London, doing graduate recruitment. We had a mobile app that was helping young students, young people to find a job. And was a company was very, very successful at some point and then very, very unsuccessful at another point. You can probably guess the timing of those two events. Then, when COVID came, our business basically collapsed and I was very, very tired and I decided to step away from my business at the end of 2020. And then what happens is that I can't really sit with my hands under my ass. And so I was, reading a lot and trying to see, okay, what's going to be next? And I read an article about NBA Top Shot, the Dapper Labs platform, NFT platform. And I started reading about NFTs. I created an account. They had a very easy on board with your credit card. So you can buy everything with your credit card. You didn't need wallets or crypto or anything because I was not a crypto bro. I wasn't someone I knew of crypto, but was never really invested in it. And I was hooked. And that, the rest is history. That was a year and a half ago. I've been full time in NFTs since then, trying to learn about them. I've become an art collector in the process. I have, several hundred NFTs in ETH and Tezos. I try to support the community in a million different ways. I mean, I always try my best to support artists and collectors and in the community in general. And yeah, I think that's my story. Sorry if I went on for too long.
Yeah, it's so great. Actually, today I just look at your link tree, and it was very great that you make some gallery with everything that you collected, and it was so great that you have a gallery for your artworks. And I want to say, ask something. Do you have any roadmap for your collecting? Because every collector has a different roadmap of collecting. I want to know about your opinion, your idea, and your view of collecting the art.
Okay, so look, I always say that I think buying art NFTs and collecting art NFTs, the purchase decision lies on a spectrum. So imagine you have the spectrum on the one end of the spectrum, you have decisions that you make only for financial purposes. So you buy a piece because you believe that it will appreciate in price and time because the artist is going to become more well known, etc. Now, in those cases, it probably wouldn't matter very much what the art looks like. You just buy it as an investment. On the opposite end of the spectrum, you have pieces that you just fall in love with. There are, I call them my forever pieces. The stuff that I want to print and put on my walls and put on a digital screen in my house that I would never sell. I just love them. And for those pieces, what the price is important only with regards to the ability to buy them, i.e., if you have enough money and capital in your wallet to buy them. But other than that, the price is not really important. Now, these are the two extremes. I think every purchase of every art NFTs lies at some point in this spectrum. It could be closer to one extreme or closer to the other, but there is always a mix of the two. So what kind of feelings and emotions do these pieces evoke into me when I look at them? And are they a potentially good investment? Like, is this something that I know will hold its value? Or I don't know, is the artist minting a million pieces every day? And so, that might not necessarily have a chance to appreciate in value in the future. So that's how I look at it. Obviously, once you understand this, the next level is to, understand a little bit how to assess the value of something and the potential prospects of an artist, etc. But this is how I usually look at my collections and my decisions to buy something.
Wow, good point. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And Iki, do you want to tell us about roadmaps from artist visions? Because I think that we are, as artists, should have some roadmaps. So maybe it would be more better for collectors.
I absolutely don't have a roadmap for my work. I create art because I have something to say. If I was creating a collectible project or something like that, then I think that's different, and I think I would want to think about what the value proposition is and treat it more like a business. And I would like to have a roadmap in that instance. But for my personal work, the aesthetic is its utility, right? It was artists that shed light on the Berlin Wall. It was artists that questioned consumerism. That is the utility of art. So, my attitude is to carry myself with integrity and to be committed to what I do. So if a collector wants to purchase the work because they like it, wonderful. If it resonates with them, that's fantastic. But if they want to buy it as an investment, my commitment to them is that I will only put out what I think is my best work, what I believe in, that I think is cohesive with my mission, that I will act with integrity in the space, that I will handle myself respectfully, that I will aim to progress my own career. This is a win-win. But I'm not doing it for anyone else. I'm doing it for my for my vocation, for my career. I was recently exhibited alongside the likes of Andy Warhol and so on, and I think that's a great an important milestone, because for me, what's more important as an artist is to actually drive the entire adoption narrative forward for everybody, and to act as a thought leader in a space that is heavily crypto native, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? But I think there's a lot of value to be gained from the adoption narrative and bridging the gap with the traditional domain and showing that these aren't the enemy. We can do things differently here if we choose to. That's the beauty of operating in a decentralized environment. But that doesn't mean that everyone else, we should be protective as well. So I'm trying to share that with people, and also to act as a my utility as an artist is to also act as a sounding board for people that want to learn about um, you know art history, or other people's work, or if they choose to, right? Some don't care, and that's fine. It's all fine. There's no rules. um, but I certainly don't have a roadmap beyond always trying to create work that allows me to have the correct ontology, for what I'm trying to communicate.
Wow, that's nice. But I myself think that maybe sometimes it works better. For example, you have a plan for your steps. I don't know if it is correct or not, or because it is just me that I'm just looking forward and going through that. So maybe it is not correct, but I have some plans for the steps that I'm just taking, and I see that when I'm doing this, so what do I want to do with the money? What do I want to do with my next collection? What do I want to do with my marketing plans? And if it doesn't work, what should I do? What would be the next step if that happens? What would be the next step if this happened, and something like that? So yeah, that's the reason I just ask that, because I myself just sometimes think about it and make some plans for it and somehow
Absolutely.
make it.
We all have objectives, targets, objectives. We all have to think, especially now that we're out of the gallery environment. You have to think about things like your brand and marketing and all that yucky stuff that we didn't care for in the past, right? But you do have to consider that, and I think that's an obligation if you want to create a career. If you, it's just life. It's just how it is. And I see that as something, a necessity. I think it's all about language, though, right? Because when I hear roadmap, I think of that almost like a business plan. And while you could argue that some of those things you could attribute to a business plan, right, in the traditional sense, it's kind of, for me, my primary objectives are actually less personal and more community driven, right? Because I really believe in this idea of together to the top. Um, I'm a huge advocate of that, and anyone that knows me and knows what I do with my collective, Bloom Collective, for others, without a price, without a cost, right? Because I believe that's the way I benefit the most,
Yeah, it's so great to know about this, and because every of us has a different plan for the growing up our marketing, is so very nice to know about this. I have one question of Iki. Actually, today I check your LinkedIn and I check your amazing artwork. I love the minimal art, and yeah, I love the conceptual art also. I am a fan of the black and white, and yeah, I just want to ask you, do you think an artist should be collect from the other artists. If you become a big and famous and makes a good money from the NFT, for growing up the marketing and the marketing become more organic, do you think one artist should collect from the other artists?
Yeah, I've had this question a lot. There's NFT culture down there. He asked me this question in my interview quite recently. I don't think anyone's obligated to buy art to support the community. I'm sorry to say, I just don't see that as an obligation. Nonetheless, if you're asking me personally, I really enjoy buying art, and I really enjoy buying NFTs. I guess I just love art and I love NFTs, and I love buying work from people that I don't care. I don't buy art for the investment. I'm kind of that end of the spectrum. I really liked what Lord Truffington said there. About the spectrum. I'm definitely of the spectrum of not really investing. I'm a bit of a degen too. I buy collectibles and stuff. That's more on the investment side of things. I want to make some money, but I buy art, traditional art and one-of-one art, just because I love it. And I also think as an artist, it's a really useful tool to actually be on the buy side and buy. You learn a lot from it. I certainly have. Yeah. So that's what I think. I don't think it's an obligation, but I certainly do.
Can I give a point of view about this?
For sure, I was going to ask you actually.
I completely agree. I don't think is an obligation, and everyone it needs to be free to do whatever they like and whatever they feel is right or wrong, and especially when it comes to financial decisions, like i.e. spending money for something. Not everybody's in the same situation. I mean, if you're an artist and you live off what you sell, you probably need to go and buy your food shopping or pay your mortgage or your rent with what you make. So you should never feel that you're obliged to buy something. My point is slightly different, however, especially for artists that are not already established or that don't necessarily have already like big tickets, big prices for their pieces, etc. It is incredibly helpful to start collecting something, even like the cheapest things that are in the market. Because when you start collecting, you start understanding how the market works. You start having to make decisions. Do I buy this piece or do I buy this other piece? And why do I prefer this over the other one? Why this 0.5, 0.05 is actually worse than a zero point 0.1 piece by someone else. And it starts to, I think it gives a different perspective that I have found that many artists don't have. Now, this is not a criticism at all. Everybody has their own skills. I have the creativity of a hamster, so I cannot create anything. I take photos, which is a bit different, but I couldn't, create a digital artwork. Okay, some people are incredibly talented, and they don't have to be good also at, knowing how to invest, for instance. But because you are in the market as an artist, and ultimately you will be compared to a lot of other artists, if you collect, even spend a little bit of money and a little bit of time, it will help you gain a perspective of how a collector looks at your work when you go and list it.
I couldn't agree more with that, actually. And I'll just add, the only thing I would add to that would be that also that engagement actually can really help you as a new artist. When you begin to buy others' work, you build friendships, engagement, that makes your voice echo louder in the Twitterverse, and I'm not saying to do it for that purpose, but I'm saying it's a positive byproduct of doing it. But what Lord Truffington said is absolutely spot on in terms of becoming more aware about yourself, and how you're perceived by going into the market and actually taking the same kind of steps. That is absolutely true. Yeah, a very good point.
Yeah, thank you. It was great because, it's a very somehow challenging question. I see that sometimes in some spaces even people argue with each other. Why you didn't buy? Why you buy? Why you do that? Why you do this? But I just started these spaces to show people that everybody has their own vision and you can keep it for your own self, and it doesn't matter what you are thinking it is correct or it is just wrong. So yeah, I just wanted to do that to show that people have different types of ideas and they have their own visions for what they are acting in this market. Thank you for sharing. Elmira, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. At the first, I want to say hi, Paria Junam and Paris Junam for running this amazing space. And especially hi to Lord June and Icky June, Darius, Shebi, all of you, fam and friends here. And I just want to say that as a newcomer on NFT, not on art, when I joined to NFT, I really confused it because I heard 1,000 times about the roadmap, and I just, I confused it and just make me sad because I don't have any, as a painter, I don't have any roadmap. And I think I have some problem with myself and really think about that because for my paintings, each painting has their own story, their own, message. And I just figure out my roadmap is that sharing my energy with others, sharing the happiness and the sharing that things what I want to the world. And I really want to say that. And another point that is, I think making friends and connecting with the people is kind of art, and like dancing, like singing, like painting, like anything else, and we can learn it. And if we already learned that, we can just improve it. And I really enjoy that when joined to many spaces like this, and I see that there are some people have different idea, but all due respect they can talk together, and that really really makes me happy. I just want to say that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. While we are talking about roadmaps, another thing that sometimes it is, I just see it a little challenging again, is about utilities. I heard your idea, Iki, about utilities, that you are just the utility of your art and something like that. But Lord, what do you think that one-on-one art should have utility? What is utility?
I am sure most of you are familiar with Miston Harriman. Is a fantastic photographer. He's the chairman of the South Bank Centre, which is a massive cultural centre in London. He is now the one in charge of creating the permanent collection for the Tezos Foundation. Now, why do I mention Miston? Because Miston a few months ago made a video that talked exactly about this point. Art is the utility. And then later on, he decided to mint it. It's his only video that was minted, and I grabbed it. So if you go to my main ETH gallery, as soon as you enter, there is this massive wall with Mison's face, and there is a 2 minutes video where he says, art is the utility. It doesn't need anything else. You buy a piece because of the emotion that they evoke in you. You buy a piece because you like it. And that should be the beginning and the end of it. Now, I do want to say, very often when people talk about roadmap, first of all, roadmap is a term in the NFT world that comes from PFP projects, from the myriads of projects that last year have clogged up the Ethereum network because we had 20, 30 new drops every day. And those are because you buy some really, sorry, I mean, I apologize if someone has here in the audience has run a PFP project, but very often they are quite mediocre art or no art at all. And so in order for that to have a certain value, investment value, it needs to have a roadmap. What are you going to give me next? How is this going to grow in value? How the community is going to grow in value? And that's where the term roadmap came from. Now, when that market kind of died, people started to almost, because it was the same people and were used to investors, collectors, flippers, they were used to always ask, what's the roadmap? We kind of carried it over to the one-on-one art, to the pure art NFTs. Now, it doesn't make any sense. Now, what you can do as an artist, you might have not a roadmap, but you might have a plan. And some artists that I know might say, I want to put out a piece every 2 months, a one-on-one piece every 2 months. So just so you know, if you buy this now, there will not be another piece for another 2 months. Okay, you can call that some sort of roadmap, if you like. Like it's a plan. It's more a plan, but it doesn't. But beside that, there shouldn't be a roadmap. It doesn't make sense. You are an artist. You have a gift, and you are creating because you feel like creating. And you shouldn't be on a schedule. You shouldn't be under any obligations to do anything other than produce when you feel like, what you feel like.
Bravo. That's my Italian.
Yeah,
Bravo.
I felt great that he said we are just gifts.
No,
I got excited.
Yeah, no. Funnily enough, that Missan utility video, I pinned a tweet there, which was my response to Missan after he posted that, and I also thoroughly enjoyed that video. So it's good to hear that you purchased that. I didn't know that actually. So that's I'm so happy you brought that up. It's one of my favorites. He Missan often speaks a lot of sense, but this was in particular, one that I had to respond to. So yeah, I couldn't agree more that this is something that it's a continual challenge, right? In terms of the language we use, one of one art, which is printing language, one of one, instead of just a work of art, collectibles, PFP projects, utility, roadmaps. These are very crypto native and business native terms. I've done a lot of consulting for kind of large institutional, so some of the banking people you were talking about, Lord Truffington, right? So like Deutsche Bank, their art funds and stuff like that. And I did a lot of consulting for them over the years, and some other investment houses, and again, it doesn't really even form part of the valuation model generally. Generally in the trad domain, the valuation models, I mean, they do vary, of course, from fund to fund, but if I'm talking about institutional valuation, it really just is authenticity, provenance, historic significance, and then price data, demand and supply, right? Primary markets, secondary markets, auction houses, galleries, likelihood to exhibit, then a evaluation of which galleries, right? Because not all galleries are built the same, right? If artists are being exhibited in the Guggenheim, MoMA, Pace Gallery, it's a very different proposition, and has the makings of a wider career. And then, of course, what the critics are saying, and the likes of Salts and stuff. So these are the kind of way we value art there, but we value art differently in the digital domain. But the good news is that I think it is good news, is that I've seen that shift over the last couple of years, and I think that's wonderful. A lot of collectors that came in that perhaps weren't that interested in art prior to NFTs, came in because they thought it was a fun way to invest, an alternative kind of investment asset. And along the way, many of those same individuals have kind of begun to enjoy art, for what it is, and as such have educated themselves, because they're often, I find the people in the space are often quite bright, quite smart people to be involved in this kind of technology and in what we're doing here, and so they learn very quickly, I think there's a lot to be said for that.
You are absolutely describing me. That person that you just described is exactly me. I've said this many times. I've had a few interviews, and people ask also, were you already an art collector? And I said, no, I've never bought. I mean, I bought maybe some prints online, but I never bought any art. The main reason is that I felt intimidated. Walking into a gallery, it is an intimidating experience for someone that doesn't know anything about art. It is intimidating because very often the traditional art world is a little bit, let's say they look, or at least that's a feeling that they look down at you. It's intimidating because you have absolutely no notion of the value of what you're looking at. Like, as you know, a painting could be worth the same painting could be worth $10, or it could be worth $10 million, depending on who made it, not on the painting itself. So whenever you don't have that kind of reference, it feels very difficult. And then I discovered this world, and exactly, what happened to me is at the beginning I was trading and flipping these PFP projects. I wasn't really looking at art as a long-term thing. And a year and a half later, I actually consider myself a curator. I'm actually working with a gallery to curate an exhibition in Italy. I'm actually really working to promote the art world, the art NFT world, to get more collectors in the space. I am building, I'm former entrepreneur. I'm actually working with my former CTO. We're building an art discovery platform for NFTs to get more collectors to find, discover, and fall in love with art. And that's, again, what you described is my journey, my story.
Fabulous. I can't wait to catch up offline at some point, about monetizing collections, curating, and the role that you have on the community, and uplifting us is such a. It's very unusual to be in an environment, in a community, where there truly is win-win outcomes everywhere you look, by uplifting each other, by uplifting collectors, by collectors uplifting artists, by taking the steps to promote the work outside of the space, inside of the space. All of these things affect the entire domain in a positive way. I just think it's wonderful. I've heard this same story now from you. I heard the same from Paddy Stash. I've heard the same from Barack Crimo. I've heard this, and the list goes on and on and on and on. And it's just, for me, it's the most wonderful part of what's happened here in this digital art movement.
Such a nice connection. It's so great to know more about this. And yeah, it's a really motivation out. Actually, when we know about this, we do our journey and we act in our journey more positive, and it's very, useful for us. I have one question for both of you, and this is actually it's a personal question. Actually, I sometimes I mint and I drop some stuff on foundation, and it doesn't, and I don't have any sale on my foundation account. I have already pieces, and I don't know if I don't have any sale, I should drop them or I should wait for them. And what do you think about as a collector and as a one successful artist? What should I act about my dropping and my journey?
I can give the collector's viewpoint. I would be interesting to hear Icky, because as an artist, he might have a different view. I come from a business background, so I very often take a bit of a cynical, very practical, pragmatic view of things. So, as an artist, your art is your product. And as someone that has a product that would like to sell, because you can create your art just for your own benefit and just keep it at home and that's it. But if you want to sell your product, the product needs to be marketed. Like there is no company in the world that has a product or a service that does not do marketing. Coca-Cola, everybody knows Coca-Cola, yet they spend billions every year in marketing, in branding, in marketing. So as an artist, it should be the same. And I understand that there might be challenges here and there. So what's when you mint a piece, that piece, if you have already a collector space, that piece should be, you should familiarize your collectors first with the piece, primarily because they have already bought something from you, which means that they appreciate you as an artist and appreciate your creations. Now, if you start having a few pieces that go unsold, before minting something new, I would kind of think, okay, why have these not sold? Is there something about the piece? Is it the price? Is it that people don't see them enough? That I don't have enough exposure in the arena, which, as we all know, is called Twitter for our community. And so kind of start looking at it, not just, oh, this is another creation I've done, but a bit more like a product and say, okay, what is it? Like, how can I place this product in the hand or the collection of someone? And if I have not sold other pieces, why is that? And I think it's a hard exercise, but it's something that you need to do, because as a collector, when I go and see on Foundation and I see that there are a lot of pieces unsold, a lot more than the ones that have been sold, to me, that's not a good signal. That's a signal, for me, it's not a good signal. And so, you always need to think about how a collector would look at this action, for instance, minting a new piece. But I'm really interested in the artist side.
Yeah, actually, I thought that was a very sensible bit of advice. Actually, there is a romantic answer, and there is a business answer. First of all, the marketing answer is absolutely correct. Look, we don't have the luxury in the space to be sold in the way that we would in a typical gallery environment. That's just the reality. So you have to be accountable for trying to get the work seen, right? Because often the only issue an artist has, most commonly in a free market, in a large market, is visibility. So there's ways in which you do that. You build communities. You have tremendous outreach with other artists. You try and get into some exhibitions, no matter how big or small, so that you have content to share. You build your networks. You access spaces. You talk to people. This isn't shilling, right? This isn't what I'm talking about. That horrendous word. We're not snake oil salesmen, but it is marketing, right? And I think the word you use there, Lord Truffington, which I think is absolutely perfect, is being pragmatic, right? Does that mean that the work needs to be burnt or removed? Well, if you're confident that you've done everything else first, which is very unlikely, right? To its absolute maximum, that everybody that you think may want to buy it has seen it, right, in the right way, in an organic way, then perhaps that's something to consider. But I would suggest that more than likely it's something that can be remediated with just some consistent kind of work at trying to get your voice a little bit louder. Now, in terms of advice for artists and how you do that, now I touched on it at a very high level, and I said, build communities and da 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 da. And this all sounds great, but what does that actually mean? Well, you'd be surprised. Just reading through the timeline, seeing things you like, liking it, commenting on it, retweeting it, building friendships so that when others resonate with your work, they do the same. And then, their audience sees what you do, and so on and so forth. And not being shy to share work that you love and not always promoting yourself, and being conscious about the fact that Twitter is a free stream of consciousness, and it's very easy, I think, to feel frustrated and to become resentful, because life isn't fair, and it is competitive and it is difficult. But keep that for your quietly for your communities and your close friends. It's not generally something that you want to share publicly because it doesn't do you any favors. That's just the reality. It's definitely important to address those emotions. We all feel those things, and mental health is very important. But find the right people in the right place to do that. And the only other thing I would say is uh, to try and kind of only put out work that you're truly happy with, that you think is actually representing what it is that you want to say. It's the best kind of approach, I think, anyway.
I have some comments on that, but before I go for that, let's hear Dariush because he's just so raggy and I want to hear him before he gets rugged again. Hi Dariush, how are you?
Yo, Pario, Lord, Icky, everyone. That's all right. Please keep on your question because I just wanted to add something about the roadmap thing, but we passed that topic. So please keep it up. I'm gonna join the conversation later.
Okay, thank you. I really agree with you, Iki. I'm here, I think, around 6 months, and I did a lot. I did a lot of mistakes, and I talked to a lot of people. I tried to make a lot of connections. And after these, I think 6 or 7 months that I'm here and working in this Twitter thing and Web3 thing, uh, it is just around 1 month and a half that I started these spaces. And, after that, I just figured out I was so wrong about what I had done. I made a lot of relationships. They are so dope friends. They are so supportive friends. But as you mentioned, uh, they are so different, when, for example, my art is animations and music stuffs and something like that. And, I have lots of photographies friends, and it's so great because I really love their art and I actually following them because I really love their art. But, if you just try to connect with the people that resonate with your art, that they are just doing the same thing, you can make a much better community because when you are going through, for example, photographers, and you have lots of people and artists and collectors of photography, they are not interested in your art. Maybe they like it, but it's so different because they have another mindset. And for example, I couldn't find any collector for my art because lots of other types of arts were around me, and now I'm just getting to know people. I'm just finding those people who are resonating with my art. And yeah, I totally agree with you that we have just to know that where we are targeting, and that's a very good point. And it is so time consuming to find people, but it is so sweet. I really like the journey. Thank you.
Can I? That's a very good point about targeting. You wouldn't want to go and sell, I don't know, a raincoat in Dubai because they don't need a raincoat. It never rains. So you gotta pick the right collectors. Now I'm not shilling my own thing because it's just a free project. I've created a website called nftcollectors.wiki. It's actually on my bio. And what I've done there, I have collected 150 of the most active and respected collectors in the space, art collector in the space, and there's a link to their main wallets. And you can, as an artist, you can actually go there and see it's in the place, the free resource for the community. You can go there and find what kind of art these people are buying. If a collector mainly collects photography, there's no point in going and showing them an animation that's got nothing to do with photography because they would not be interested. While if you see that as a collector has a taste that is or as preference for artwork that looks a lot more similar in style, I don't know, colors or than what you create, then they would be a good collector to approach, and they are a lot more likely to be interested. And even just approaching them saying, "Hey, I looked at your collection. I really loved it. A lot of the pieces are in the same style and what they produced. Would you mind if I show you what I'm doing?" But it needs to be specific and targeted. Otherwise, you're just shilling for the sake of it, and that's usually tend not to be something that is appreciated.
Yeah, very good point. It's so simple, but sometimes I don't know why we cannot see the fact, the things that are correct in the way that they are. In those months, I don't know what happened to me, and I see it actually in other artists that they are just looking through where is the tweet of shilling or where is the space for shilling and something like that, and they go through them. But I'm just learning that I have to make some maybe somehow analysis on people that I'm just making my connections. I like to have connections with everybody, but to go to next step, I need more people around me who are just resonating with my art, and I'm totally agreeing with you.
And
Nutshell, rainbow.
be kind to yourself. We're all learning, right? We're all learning every single day. It doesn't matter how long I've been here. I'm learning every single day. And that's that word, right? Being pragmatic, right? That Lord used that I really like, and adjusting accordingly. And tomorrow we may feel differently, right? But be kind to yourself. No one. This does not come naturally to artists. This is not our forte. Collectors or those that have operated in corporate business, all of these things, but we are creatives ultimately, and there's a lot of new skills that we can learn. So we're all learning together. Yeah, absolutely be kind to yourself. And the other thing I would say is if you're somebody that's trying to do something completely different, because there is this, I think the targeted feedback is spot on. If you know what collectors are generally collecting and targeting them, that's spot on. But if you're on the other end of the spectrum and you're trying to do something that's truly unique and different, take a lesson from art history, because art history is really recursive, and what did the Impressionists do, when nobody wanted to buy their work because they thought it was unfinished, and what did uh, 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 everything pretty much post-Columbian, all art movements kind of operated in the same way. It was about forming small communities of like-minded people to challenge the type of work that you wanted to do, and to challenge each other, and then to market that style of work collectively, right? So it started to have a name. If you actually consider the digital art space at the moment, it's very messy. You know, it's very difficult for the trad world to adopt, with the exception of, say, generative art, right? Because that has a very clear, a clear, cohesive vision across all of the people that operate within it. You know, code is art, and the collector can be part of that, and it lives on the blockchain, and it is unique to blockchain, and you know, so it's a wonderful, easy thing to be adopted. But if you look at the rest of the digital art market, there's illustration, there's animation, there's long form, short form, traditional mediums like photography and paint, and it's all wonderful and all welcome, but we need to start to categorize this stuff in a way that's easily digestible, and that will actually make us connect easier with those target the buy side that wants to engage in this type of work. And yeah, shilling spaces are interesting. You know, often I find, being in a market store with no customers. You know, like imagine you will have market stalls in a big market space, but there's no customers. You're just shouting, how much the vegetables cost at your stall to one another. It's like, so something to think about. Yeah.
I admit, I have, because I'm as a collector, I have never been in shield spaces, but I've seen them online on Twitter, and I always wondered, but do collectors actually go? Because otherwise you're just shilling to your fellow artists that are looking like, it feels like it's the wrong place to be promoting your art. But I might be wrong. As I said, I've never been.
Occasionally is the answer. So occasionally, some collectors will jump in. Certainly, people like Misan often do, but that's because he wants to act as an activist and a supporter for underrepresented artists. So if the space kind of has that theme, then he may be there. Occasionally, collectors are invited, but generally, what it is other artists. And other artists that resonate with the work and relate to the work and end up buying the work, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like you said, the collection is on a spectrum, but generally that's what I've observed. But yeah, it is certainly varied.
Yeah, thank you. I want to add something, but I see a lot of hands, so you can just go on, and maybe I can just add my points at the end. Mana, do you want to add, because I saw you went first? Go on. Hi, Mana.
Hi, Paria and Paradis, and also hello to Lord Truffington and Icky, and all my friends. Sorry that I won't call every name for the sake of time. Thank you for bringing me up. And actually, I have a question regarding what you were talking about, but to both Lord Truffington, if possible, and Iki, please, regarding the shilling, because you mentioned that, as you mentioned, the shilling spaces usually don't have, collectors in them, and there are only some spaces held by some special collectors, but honestly, sometimes you feel that they have chosen their, the art that they want to buy before the space. So it's not that much, value in speaking in those spaces. Sometimes I'm not, saying always, but regarding the shilling threads and these kinds of things, there are usually lots of tweets there, and I don't think that somebody can look all of them. So I just wanted to ask, what do you think is the best way to, find some communication or show actually our arts? This is one question, and if possible, I have another question then after, if possible.
So I'll give you an answer about this, because I was actually asked, I think yesterday in Spaces, about the art share threads that we see. I think you need to spend enough time on Twitter to understand who the collector is and how serious they are, because not everybody is necessarily serious. I'm saying this because I used to do an art share thread every week. I've now moved it to once every 2 weeks, because I receive between 1,500 and 2,000 submissions, replies, every single art thread that I do. And I look at every single one of them. Now, obviously, if the image doesn't appeal to me immediately, I would just put a like and move on. If the image appeals to me, I would click on the artist. I would go and see what else they minted, what's their style, etc. Now, I do my threads for two main reasons, because every day I do two daily tweets where they're called truffles, where I showcase art that I like. 99% of the times it's art that I don't have, so it's not from my wallet. It's just art that I like, digital art and photography. And so I look for inspirations to discover pieces that I like to use to then spotlight every day. And also because I buy art regularly, almost every day. So maybe small things, but I do buy all the time. And I look at every single submission that is done in my art thread. And I think it is respectful for the artist, for the people that post and that answer that. And I know that there are other collectors that look at my art share. I know that there are, because you can see the comments, and sometimes, there are, I don't know, you probably know Ashtar, who's a fantastic collector of mainly photography, and very often he comments on the photos that are posted under my art share. So they could be a fantastic place to reach the right, or at least to gain more exposure. Now, this is not the same for everybody. There are some collectors that do art shares just for engagement, and that's actually quite bad. That's why I'm saying they're not all serious. There was a bit of a discussion that came out last week because a collector was caught saying that he never looked at what was happening in what was being posted, which is like, I don't really understand why then you do it. But if you pick the right collector, the right collectors that are serious, that really care about the space, they will look at them. I can promise you, I look at each and every one of them. That's why I had to stop doing it every week, because it takes me like 8 hours to go through everything. So I can't do it once a week.
Yes, and I would just add, I agree with that. I'm not going to be so diplomatic. So I mean, excuse me, but yeah, there are certainly many accounts, whether they be influencers or collectors or pseudo collectors or complete frauds. I mean, one or the other. You have to kind of do your homework. That are just simply engagement farming. And what I say to you is, this is not, they're incentivized to do this for a whole host of reasons. usually over time that becomes visible. What the intentions were of creating large communities and followings and so on and so forth. But what you need to really be careful of is this idea that if there is a potential collector that is a known big spender, let's say, this feeling that you have to like, comment, follow, and play this lottery ticket, that they may see you and they may love your work and buy it. You start to become part of the problem, right? So if you don't think truthfully in your heart of heart, and only you can answer this, I'm certainly not going to provide that direction, but if you feel in your heart of heart, and you often do, who is operating with integrity, or at least their motivations are transparent, right? If that's to make money or that's to whatever it is, I mean, all of that is fine, right? But if you think they're operating with integrity, then those are the people you should be following, and you should be following thought leaders in the space. And with regards to art shares, above and beyond collectors art shares, there are also great artist creative art shares. And I host one usually about once a week. I call Art for Art's Sake. We don't list prices of work. We don't list the marketplace it's on. We just post the work. And what people are asked to do is to look through others' work, to comment on work that they like, to share the work that they like. And often out of that, I think I've had sales out of that thread indirectly for about 4 weeks in a row, and I've actually picked up 2 pieces in the last 2 weeks from that thread, and that's simply because people are just enjoying the work and sharing the work, and many people that engage in that thread are people that have significant followings, and so and I'm just one of many, right? There are many like this. So it really is just about, as Lord Truffington put it, just making that assessment of where the value is, right? And not just jumping on a bandwagon because you think there's a chance that someone might buy your work. Don't fall into that trap. You're not helping yourself at all, I can assure you.
Wow, it was nice, and thank you. Lord, do you want to talk about your newsletter? Because you have a newsletter, and I know it is just something about your
So
site.
the one thing that I have decided to do, I spend most of my days on Twitter, and tweeting a lot, engaging a lot with the community in general. And so thanks to that, I've managed to build a quite good platform that has quite a lot of reach, that has a lot of engagement. And so a few months ago, I decided to start posting art that I like, just because I like it, and Twitter is probably the only place where we can really do art discovery and find new things, because most of the platforms or most of the marketplaces have awful discovery processes, journeys. So I decided to start doing that, and I played on the words of my name, so they are called truffles, so truffles, and every day I do these 2 tweets. And what I do then, because of we know how Twitter works. Very often, unless you have notifications for someone, you will probably miss 90% plus of what they post. So what I do then at the end on Sunday night, I collate in a newsletter all the 14 truffles of the week, 7 digital art and 7 pieces of digital art and 7 pieces of photography NFTs. And I just send them out to the people that are subscribed. So it's a way, instead of, because you will miss some of them on Twitter during the week, it's a way to receive at the end of the week an email that has basically 14 pieces of art. And it's nice. It takes 2 minutes to scroll through and see what you like, what not, what was the artist. It's a little, help for the community. And I know that it does create more exposure for a lot of artists. I put sometimes big, like more well-known and established artists, but most of the times they tend to be smaller or less established artists. And so that's it. I have been doing that now for 4 months every day, and I have no intention of stopping.
Yeah, that's so cool. I really love that, and I myself, I'm not a collector, but I really love them. And you mostly find gems, so I like them, and I go through it, and yeah, I subscribe it. So guys, if you want to be on the list, you should just go on with Lord. Okay, Paradis, do you want to add anything? Okay, go on.
Actually, no. Please, you. I enjoy your conversation.
Really sorry. Yeah, I just have a question for Lord Truffington. So this newsletter which you generate, is it based on the collectibles which you have? Because I think I've kind of missed. I must have got drugged. So are these the collectibles which you have collected from all the artists, or is it like separate collection which includes your art as well?
No. It is not my art. I am not I'm not pumping my bags. Actually, every single tweet every day has the name of the piece, the name of the artist, and then there is a line that says, "Do I know any?" with a smiley face or a crying face, and that means if I own a piece by that artist or not. And 99% of the times I don't have, or I would maybe, I don't know, 80% of the times are pieces that by artists that I don't know any pieces of, because this is not to, again, to pump my bags. It's not to get more value out of the stuff that I bought. It's just to promote artists. So I try to make an effort not to put too many pieces that, of artists that I've already supported by buying their pieces.
Perfect. Yeah. I was just trying to understand that Lord Truffington. So yeah, that makes total sense. And I think I'll be one of the subscribers looking forward to this newsletter every time. So I have another question, if I may. Okay, I'm a beginner to the NFT world, and I just joined Twitter like 2 weeks back. So I'm just building up my profile. So as a collector, how often is my profile also important? The reason I'm asking this question is, how early am I to start minting my work, or because when you buy an artist work, do you also look at the profile, like how good the profile is, how much reach is it and all that? So I'm just trying to understand. So please forgive my invalid questions, because I'm really new to NFT. So yeah.
Look, as a collector, I look at everything. Like everything is an element that goes into the final decision of buying something. It obviously starts 99.9% of the times. It starts with me liking what I see in front of me. And then I go down the little rabbit hole and look at the artists, what they've produced, what they've sold, who has collected the other pieces, what the trajectory they have on, if they've done other sales before. And it's all important. Now, I do realize that, being good good at marketing and being a good artist are two things that have got nothing in common. They are different, real different skill sets. And I mentioned that earlier. I do realize that sometimes it is a challenge for some artists to also focus on the element. And unfortunately, it's, you know, this is the nature of this market. In the traditional art world, you usually have galleries. When you are a bit established, you have galleries, and galleries will basically sell your work for you, and they take usually 50% of the income from that sale. So in the NFT world, we don't have the galleries in the middle, but you need to do, as an artist, you need to do most of the works that usually galleries do, i.e. building your brand, your profile, and relationship with the collectors. So if I see that an artist has a terrible profile, or there's nothing, or there's a link tree and all the links there are wrong, I know that as I am having difficulties finding the art of this artist, every other collector that will follow my journey of discovery will encounter the same type of problems. And that is a red flag. It's something that it's not great. Now, sometimes I bought some art because I just fall in love with it. It doesn't matter. I just love it. I want to buy it. I want to print it and put it on my wall. But, you know, these are all elements that go into the decision. I hope that answered your question.
That perfectly answers my question, Lord Truffington. I mean, I think it's quite insightful that, with all these answers. Okay, just one last question. I'm not sure how this can be answered. So as an artist, how do I decide that I'm mature enough to start, minting my work? Like, is it my visibility on Twitter, or are my followers, or is it just my art? So just trying to understand this part, if you can help me with it. My last question, promise.
Yeah, I would say when you've made some work that you think is representative of what you're trying to communicate. You know, it's as simple as that. You know, you mint it. You know, it's I mean, there is no right time. If you try and treat this entirely like a business, you're destined to fail. I can assure you that. I'm talking as a creative. I can assure you of that. There's so much value in all of the things that we've been talking about in terms of marketing and, you know, all of those kinds of, you know, operating like a business. Of course, absolutely. You know, if your objective is to sell art and to have a life where you can do this for a living, then of course that's important. But you know, art first. You're an artist, right? So you know, once you're happy with what you've got, then share it. You know, and you know, I feel like that's really, really important. And you know, no regrets. You know, just get it out there.
Shall I
Thank
add
you so much, Icky.
something? I want to add something and ask one question of Vinayak. I don't know you actually drop anything or not, because I just check your Linktree and also check your Twitter account, and I cannot, reach any places, marketplaces that you are minted or you are on there or not. Did you mint anything?
Pradisa, I mean, that's absolutely right. I have not minted anything right now. So it's just 2 weeks old on Twitter. So I'm just trying to understand what NFT is and how it works. So that's why I'm asking all trivial questions. And, so slowly I'll start minting my work. I have some art ready. So, but before that, I just want to interact. I just want to understand everything end to end, and make sure that I understand everything, and only then I think I will be starting to mint. So that's the reason you're seeing my profile with only tweets and some just fresh some work. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Hope you drop and as soon as possible. Actually, your work is very good. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Paradis and Iki and Lord. Jarafidi, do you want to say something? Because I saw your hand.
Oh, hi, Paria. Hi, Lord Icky. Thank you for this great space. I have learned a lot from you guys just listening. And the only thing I just want to add here is that like the conversation that Icky was having to just, focus on the art is very important as like I'm spending more time in the NFT world. I'm realizing how important it is to be loyal to your art, because like before we entered the NFTs, we were all artists. So this is still what we are doing here. So we shouldn't forget that. And the market, this is a very good opportunity for artists to just build their individual sovereignty and build their own business. But at the same time, the market causes some FOMO, and the fact that you're sometimes feeling that you're being left out. These are all real and true, but at the end of the day, we are all artists and we are all friends, helping and supporting. I'm so happy that we are all like, each person I'm seeing in the space is trying to hold a space each day, like keeping up the community and building something, building a platform that we all feel safe in it. Like Paria, you are one of those, people that is really doing this for the community. I really appreciate that. And also to Lord, I wanted to say that about your newsletter. I was just reading it. I know you're in Lisbon, and I think you're having a very hot summer. I hope you're doing well right now, because lots of my friends in Europe, like they are suffering from the ecosystem is changing and everything is going towards the the global warming thing is a very it's a very important and crucial thing, the environment. Yeah, like I hope you all are having a good time in Europe and all the places.
Thank you. I got to tell you one thing. I have been in Lisbon for, I don't know, 12 days now. And I've gone out of my flat like 3 times because I have been so busy with work, with this, all the things that I'm doing here in NFT space. And I've been basically with the air conditioning inside the flat working. Like I haven't really enjoyed the city very much, but it's true. It is quite hot outside.
I thought you were on holiday by the beach. I was thinking, don't feel sorry for this man. And I bet he's having a blast on the beach.
No, not at all. Not at all. I came here because I wanted to have a bit of a summer, because usually in London, we don't really have a lot of, really good weather, apart from when I left, when there was the biggest heat wave in the history of the country. But I came here to do some work and also to enjoy a little bit the city. But it turns out I'm just working. I need to kind of, just enjoy a little bit more.
That's so funny. I also, I think what Ned said is it is Ned, isn't it? Is that the name? It's Ned, right?
Yeah, you are correct.
Ned, yeah. So so I liked what you said, about not forgetting, why we're here ultimately, but also, just to add a bit of value to everybody, to two or three quick things. One is there's a great art exhibition, physical exhibition in Singapore called Instinct that is happening, and the submissions are still live. I've tweeted that on my timeline today. So have a look. You can submit for that. It's a Web2 website, so nothing to be scared of. I've checked the links out. Don't worry. I'm affiliated, so there you have my assurance. But yeah, so there's that. Follow Neil Digital. Follow NFT Culture, get some interviews. NFT Culture is down there. NFT Culture is a fantastic voice in the space. If you don't know them and you don't know the history there and how it all happened, it's definitely worth doing. So yeah, follow NFT Culture, and Malachi, who runs part of the business, one of the partners there, can always look for talented artists and interview you and give you some exposure, which is always good. The Bloom Collective is always happy to have community on the Bloomverse Discord. If you want to come and swing by, say hello to the Bloomies and see what we're up to, but more importantly, just to connect and talk and get feedback about art, and to have a moan when you need to have a moan, and not in the public space. You can do that there. So that's a good thing. And really just keep an eye out for one another and continue doing what you're doing. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, my intention for these spaces was the thing that you mentioned. I myself had barriers to make connections with people. I don't know why. Maybe because of the culture, maybe because of myself, my inner side. I don't know what was the problem, because I'm mostly sociable. But I had some problems. So the idea of these spaces just came from that thing, making connections with people. And yeah, that's why I just started these spaces, to make connections with people. For myself and for others, I just made this stage for them to join me and to talk to each other, make their community. And we are just in bear market, and it is just a little hard to go on with no selling. And yeah, I just wanted
I have to say something there. This is very important. In the advertising world, when there is a physical bear market, there's a very well-known saying, and that is, in a physical bear market in the advertising world, increase advertising expenditure. Right? You don't reduce it, you increase it. Right? When there is a bad market, and there's been a couple, and now even in the space, this is the best opportunity you have. This is the absolute best. Those that are here for the wrong reasons have left. Those that are lazy have left. Those that are have to prioritize other things because of life circumstances and what have you, are not as active. This is the opportunity now to shine and to really build your audience and build credibility and become the next wave of open quote, close quote OGs, right? So take advantage, right? This is not a bad time. This is the time you would have been dreaming of 6 months ago, I can assure you. so look at it for the opportunity that it is, because it is one.
Yeah, thank you. I hope that I don't get right before we just finish. Okay, Pardis, go on.
Yeah, actually, I want to say, for me, beer market is very nice thing, because I think I can focus on my ideas. I can create. I can learn more things. And yeah, this is for me. I start my journey 7 months ago and came to the NFT, and I don't want to live the NFT, because I know this journey right now, it's in the revolution. And yeah, this is I totally agree with you, Iki, because it's a really more chance for artists, and yeah, for more create, for learning more, and to grow up their idea and their name and their market. I see Charlie hands rise, and I want to give the mic to Charlie. Hello,
Hi,
Charlie.
Charlie. It's just so nice to see you here. How are you?
See you as well. I was just listening to the entire conversation, and it's actually been quite great, to be honest. And there's like a couple of things that I actually wrote down, and I thought that they were like great points. First of all, big shout out to Lord Truffington. Like the work that you're putting out there is unprecedented, and it's going to help a lot of people. And I'm gonna explain why. That wiki that you have created, it's definitely an eye opener of the list of collectors, and not many people will do this. And people like myself, for the last 9 months, have to find it on their own. Like basically, I have to figure it out who is who, what did they do, what did they collect, etc. But you did the actual homework, and you're actually letting everybody know for literally $3.99. Okay, no taxes. How to learn how to basically discern who are the collectors out there and what do they collect, because this is very important. Just for the fact that they're collectors and you got work, they're not going to collect your work because it's what they like. They're human beings as you and me, and they pick what they want. If their choice is 3D, is 3D. If they want photography, is photography. Paintings, abstract, you name it. Now you got to figure it out. What do they like, and does it fit your profile? If it fits your profile, then guess what? Just hit them up. But guess what? There are no ATM machines either. So don't be sending no DMs like, "Hey, here's my work. I know you like abstract. Buy my work." I'm like, that's not how it works. That's not gonna work. So just create a relationship with them, and they're as humans as you and me, and let them know what's going on, and then eventually we'll see your work, and they'll be like, "Oh, I resonate with this. I do actually like abstract work. I'm gonna get this," because now they actually established a relationship with you. So that was the first point. The second point is very important as well. You need to focus on art. I don't know for how long you have been in the NFT world, but the question is, what did you do before? What were you before NFTs? Were you creating art before? Yes. So if the answer is yes, then that's what you need to actually focus on from the first place, because that shouldn't change. That should be your main motivation anyway. And everybody else will actually see that, and they was like, man, this person just keeps putting work left and right. Like, man, the value is unprecedented. I definitely want to be on the bandwagon, because I'm bullish about that person, because that person is bullish about his own work or her own work. Third point was, I don't know if this was actually talked about. I hear about like chilling spaces and things like that, but I've been in spaces where you actually share your friend's work or somebody that you admire's work. I also heard that it might be like you going to the vegetable market and you're just selling each other's work, but nobody's gonna buy it. But at the same time, when you share somebody else's work, that might open windows of opportunity for other people to listen. That, hey, I haven't heard about that person before. Let me retweet that guy because I haven't, and we're on the same kind of vibe, or like, hey, he's into paintings. I didn't even know. So let's create a community together. So like sharing each other's work on spaces, that will be one of the most powerful things that you can do, other than sharing your own work. Because at the end of the day, it gets old talking about your work all the time. So just change it up all the time. Um, and the last but not least are threads. And this is something that Lord Truffington and I think Icky actually talked about. Be very careful on how you're using your time and your energy on our threads, especially those tweets. Uh, what I do is when I see a tweet like that, I double check if this is actually a legit collector. How do I know that? I check their wallet. If they don't have anything when it comes down to information about what do they collect and when they collect and how they collect, then I just think that that's just a waste of time. I'm not going to give it into engagement farming, and I just notify other people. Is this person legit? No? Okay, then we move on. So be careful out there. Don't just fall for those ridiculous art threats like, hey, I got 2 ETH on my wallet. Like classic bait, just baiting you for that attention. So just if that collector is going to collect, they most likely will not do a threat like this. They will collect on the spot, and most of them, they don't want the attention. They don't even want to tweet about it. They just collect it. Period. Done. As a matter of fact, it's up to the artist to recognize and to acknowledge the collector. Sometimes collectors don't even like to be acknowledged. They just like what they see and they just buy it. So you got to be careful with those threats. And also, last but not least, all those art share slash shield, because now they use share, but it's literally shield anyway. It's just a change of words. It doesn't change the product. Okay. Make sure that what they are doing there is legit. Are they collecting for real? Are they actually just doing it for just to engage farm? And that's another way of engage farm, because you're not doing anything. They're just telling you, hey, share your work, and basically people assume that they're collecting, which that's not the actual result. And yeah, so that's the points that I got so far. The conversation has been amazing so far. Lord Truffington, Icky, magical lords. You need to keep opening spaces like this. You got a talent on finding some great collectors and artists sharing their insights, and I agree with them 110%, specifically Lord Truffington, by actually creating this list, which is going to be vital for many artists out there to determine what can they do to actually stay relevant in this NFT space. So they don't feel alone. They don't feel like, oh man, my work is not relevant. No, it's not that. It's just you haven't found the right collector. That's all.
Well, that's the TLDR for the entire space. Just put that in the quote tweet at the end. Just put go to Charlie for the TLDR at the end.
Yeah, I really love Charlie. He's just so nice, and yeah, he was just one of the most great people that I just found in this NFT market. And thank you, Charlie. It was so great. Yeah, you know, it's not just about me, just a bunch of people behind these spaces. I'm just holding them, like Paris, like Mana, like Asham. There are a lot of people who are helping me with finding these gems, and thank you. I'm so excited because you know, for myself it is sometimes hard to make connections with people, but they help me and they have my back, and thanks to them maybe people cannot see that they are helping me, but they are actually helping me and
Well,
make
it was Asham, I think, who told me to swing by. Yeah, who's in the audience, by the way.
Yeah, about Lord, the same, because I couldn't make a connection with Lord as well, and she just helped me by that, and thanks to her, yeah, we have you and Lord here, and the other spaces, just Paradis, Mana, Neda, and other people just helped me. So yeah, that's the power of the community and friends. Otherwise, that we are not the same, and they are just different from me. But yeah, that's the power of us. And thank you. It was amazing.
Actually, Priyajan, I want to add, I love your roadmap of your space because I think your spaces are different because you put your spaces on the YouTube channel, and this method actually, this data, you know, we put it for the future generation that they know more about us, that we are the people that come to the NFT and we want to change our lifestyle, our journey, and how we use technology, how we use technology for sharing our art. And this is for me a very, you know, something like an honor to be your co-host. And today we had right once. Yeah, that's why I like your roadmap of your spaces. Is very, very, very rare. I love you, Varia.
Thank you so much, guys. For those who doesn't have any questions, please, if you don't mind, go down so others can join us, because we are just going out of time. It is just more than what we had. Mana, if you want, you can just go on with your question. Are you there, Mana?
Yes, thank you very much, Peyton. First, thank you for answering my questions before a previous question. And I have another question, some kind of personal, but I have heard that some other artists have this question also, so I'm bringing it up. I wanted to know what your opinion about diversity in the style of the works, because for example, me as an artist, I have usually, you know, I convey my thoughts and experiences through my art. So there are different things that I want to say by my art, and sometimes I think that, for example, for a message, one style of art is appropriate, and for another message, another style is good. So do you think that it's you know, is it a bad thing or a good thing? Just if you comment on this, I would be you know, grateful. Thank you.
Sorry, I got right exactly when you said like the part in the middle. What is the thing? What did you say? What do you want the feedback on?
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I wanted to know if diversity in the styles of the works are, from your point of view, is good or bad for an artist.
So if you have different pieces that look like very, very different from each other.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Look, I mean, you as an artist should create what you feel like creating. Nobody should dictate what you make. You know, the artistic process, their art creation process is an incredibly personal thing, and nobody really should tell you what you should make or not. What I would suggest, if you have very different pieces of work, make sure to put them in different collections. So if I go on foundation, you can have you can see all the art that has been created by that particular artist, but then there are collections. And so try to have a common theme in the collections that you create, but you're free to create whatever you like. I mean, I don't see why that would be a problem. And then some things might engage more or might be more appealing for one collector, and some other things might be more interesting for someone else.
Yeah, I've got a thought about this as well. So I agree. First of all, I agree with separating the work. There's a couple of other considerations. So cohesion in your so it really is about what you're trying to say, right? As an artist and as a creative, as Marina Abramovich would say, do what you want, right? And I agree with that. For example, yes, my primary work is an exploration of, minimal conceptual, without the tropes of the aesthetic, blah, blah, blah. You can learn about that on my page if you care. But I also am very passionate about what I call digital couture for my muse, which is the artist Bjork. And, I'm really passionate about fashion, and that's a very different approach to the other work that I do. I haven't minted any of that yet, but if I was going to, which I think if you were in that same situation, you should be free to do, to be very clear about, what it is and where you place it. I'm very selective of not just the collections, which I think is critical, but also where you mint, which marketplaces, and kind of using marketplaces as a mechanism to categorize the work. If you mint on multiple chains, on the other hand, there's a very important thing to consider, which is if you're going to do cohesive work on, say, Tezos and also Ethereum, then be conscious of your pricing model, right? There is nothing worse than buying someone's art on Ethereum that you value, and then going to Tezos and seeing the same artist with the same type of work for a quarter of the price. It's offensive and disrespectful. And I think you have to consider that. So actually using other chains is also a really good way to experiment, to be free, to be open, and generally you want to have a clear, I don't know about you, but as an artist, for me personally, one of the things I'm always challenging myself to do is to speak clearly in what I create, right? And so the last thing I want to do is muddy the water by having a lack of cohesion in that collection, let's say, open quote, close quote, right? So I think that was good feedback, but you should, TLDR, be free to do what you want. You're an artist.
I couldn't agree more. Absolutely, he was super spot on. about the different chains. Please always be mindful that your art has a certain value for you, but it also has a market value. And you, again, I'll give you an example. There is a piece that I really love on Super Rare. I can say it probably that, and I really love it. But this artist is putting out one pieces on Tezos at a significantly lower price, and that is a problem for a collector, because ultimately, at some point we'll go towards a multi-chain NFT portability, and it's important that you have some consistency. Now, Tezos, I collect a lot in Tezos. I think it's a really brilliant chain ecosystem that has been created and is developing and is growing a lot. It's great. There are a lot of editions, and a lot of artists use Tezos for edition pieces because it's very common there. Great, do that, but make sure that there is some level of consistency between your prices and all the places. By the way, this doesn't mean that if you mint on Super Rare and you mint on Foundation, you put what you regard as your best pieces and have a slightly higher price on Super Rare than on Foundation. That's fine, but don't have these incredible gaps that don't make sense, that are hard to justify.
Let me ask you this, Lord and Icky. This is a very good conversation because I don't know, for things of fate, of destiny, I was not able to join that blockchain because of many other reasons why. I tried 2 times and unsuccessful. Now, with that being said, if you are on ETH, let's say, just throw a number out there, you're selling your work for like 1 ETH, and then you go to Tezos, and let's put it out there, let's say 1,500 Tezos, so which will be kind of like roughly the equivalent of 1 ETH on Ethereum. So does that portrays the level of I will say, is it the same, or it still looks like you're in a different chain and it's not as valuable? So I just wanted to say that because you're talking about price differences, but if you actually match it with the Ethereum prices, does that make sense?
Please go ahead.
No, I'm actually. I made a post about this morning, but I'm curious to hear from you, Lord Truffington. Please go ahead.
Look, I think the reality is that most people look at the dollar value of work, and while we all say 1 ETH is equal to 1 ETH, the truth is that 1 ETH is 1 ETH and is also X dollars, X hopefully thousands and of dollars, and not less than 1,000. Now, I personally, and I know some people might not agree with this, when you go into a new chain, you are on ETH and you decide to go on Tezos, you might have maybe some lower prices at the beginning, just because there is an overlap in the collector space, but it's not a full overlap, a complete overlap. So you kind of might try to get some collectors there with prices that are slightly lower. What you can't do is sell for $1,500 on 1 ETH on foundation, and then sell for 20 pesos, which is $35 on pesos for a similar 101, because that difference it just doesn't send a good signal. But yeah, ultimately, if you sell for, one today, 1 ETH, I think is 950 pesos, this morning. So if you were to, if you sell for 1 ETH, if your normal price is one on foundation, for instance, then maybe put it a little bit less. If you want to do, you can put it, I don't know, 650, but don't put it at 50, because I think that will be a problem.
Yeah, I had a very similar answer, actually. So yeah, that's absolutely right. Right. So that's how I'm about to go to Tezos, funnily enough. Almost all of my work has been minted on multiple markets, super rare, foundation, etc., so forth. On Ethereum, I've got. Funnily enough, I list my work. When I list my work, I list it in Ethereum. So I price it in Ethereum. So if my floor has been 3 ETH, then I consider that my floor, and my floor is 3 ETH. But my floor at 3 ETH 6 months ago was very different to a floor at 3 ETH today. So technically my art is on sale today, right? But in terms of purchasing, I absolutely agree. I buy in dollar, right? And that's how I think of it. So I don't technically price my work in ETH. I think that's kind of ridiculous. But with that in mind, if I know that I list my work at, say, 3 ETH, right, then if I go over to Tezos, I also have to kind of be considerate to the fact that I might not know the market there. My current collector base might not be on in Tezos. It's a new world altogether, and I think you have to be kind of respectful of that, and so you have a couple of options, right? I have a couple of options, rather, not you. I have a couple of options. I can either go in and price the work at whatever it is, right, 2,000 Tezos or whatever, but I don't think that will do me any favors, to be honest with you. So I'm better off maybe going down to editions or something like that and pricing them more sensibly, or doing something completely different, right? And maybe starting at a reasonable price, like maybe 500 Tezos or 750 Tezos, but doing something a little different that isn't really comparable to the work that I'm doing on ETH. Perhaps it's a little bit more experimental. Perhaps it's more of the studies that I do to reach the final work that I do. All of this stuff is still credible and wonderful. I've always said about editions that for me, editions are about accessibility, and I have a strong belief that editions should be small in size. That's a personal choice. The other thing is what type of work you do, right? I mean, there's lots of wonderful options. For example, if I want to test my coding chops, right, getting a place on art blocks is maybe not as easy as FX hash, and both are fantastic and interesting. And so it depends on the kind of work you want to do, and how you want to explore it. But I would certainly say if you're doing a like for like comparison, it's a dangerous game. and like Lord Truffington said, no collector, I don't think any collector is going to be very, very, very upset if your work is listed a little cheaper in a certain market condition. But if it is significantly cheaper, you know, that's a real kick in the yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just to balance it out and actually know the market, because I have the experience before where I have been in different chains, not platforms, but different chains like Solana and these other ones. And I always had that question: is like, am I literally diluting or downgrading by going to these platforms that are a lot less, or let's say weaker when it comes down to price, to Ethereum? So yeah, this is a good insight. You just gotta balance it out, like know the market, but at the same time not go extremely lower than you were there before, which is Ethereum. So yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, and the other thing I would say about that is don't be scared to mint work on other chains. You know, yes, consider the price, all the stuff we just said, right? But don't be scared to mint on other chains, right? If you think there's an opportunity to sell list, I mean, any valuation model in it worth its grain of salt looks at multiple data points for prices and sales, right? And if you're selling in multiple marketplaces on multiple chains, in auction houses, and you know, secondary markets and all the rest of it, that only works in your favor. You know, but as you say, it has to be consistent. You know, I hate the term floor price, but it kind of is a nice benchmark actually for us. I mean, a gallery would see it differently, but it's kind of the same thing. So it's a term that I don't mind so much. It's a good indicator.
Very nice chat, and thank you all. I want to hear all of you, but I'm a little raggy, so let's go to Elmira so fast. Hi again, Elmira.
Yeah, hi. And at the first for Charlie, I want to say that buy my art, buy my art, buy my art. Just kidding. And thank you for your amazing points, as always. And thank all of you in Paria. Thanks for this space, because as I told you, yes, laugh at me, because I told you before, it's not a space anymore. It's like a classroom. So thank you for your online class. I learned many things, and I have maybe a little personal question. I'm gonna ask you super quick. I just wanna know your opinion, dear Lord, as a collector, and your as an artist. And the question is that I'm a physical painter, and I have to take photo of my paintings to make them on an NFT, but I don't know how many it's allowed or maybe moralized to change something by some softwares like Photoshop. I mean, light setting and contrast like that, because I think the photo doesn't shoot far off the physical painting. And I just want to know your opinion, and I'm just gonna drop down and listen to you. Thank you.
Well, I'll say with physical paint, I mean, there's something magical about physical paint, right? the texture, the smell, the experience of seeing it in the flesh. It's a very unique medium, and it isn't best represented digitally. That's just the reality. It's why a lot of people that collect works, with the paint medium, enjoy seeing them in physical form. Now, that's not to say many don't enjoy purchasing them, because they certainly do, and there's many successful painting artists that paint, from Ferocious through to Ray, and so on and so forth. And they've adopted, the use of digital mediums to paint now. They've kind of traversed, right? Because they think it's easier, right, to operate that way. But if you choose to operate with traditional mediums, then make it the best you can. And if that involves going into Photoshop and adjusting the light values, because you can't be expected to be a fantastic photographer as well as a fantastic painter, and ultimately we all do post-production, right? If I'm an animator, right, so I'll make 3D work or stills, and I'll commit to post-production, or I'll ask Chris, who's down there, No Creative Abode, who has a long extensive experience as a retouching expert for 20 plus years or whatever it is, to help me and to do the post-production on my work, to make sure that it's the best that it can be, or aligns to the vision that I have. And you shouldn't be worried about that. What I would say is, be true to who you are, though, as an artist, because you are uniquely you. And what I see sometimes is traditional artists trying to have gimmicks, and animating their, with apps and that kind of thing. And you really don't need to do that. There's something really beautiful about your work, and many collectors in the space enjoy collecting traditional art and traditional paint works digitally, and often they like to receive them too physically, the primaries from the primary sale, that is, right? So there's definitely markets for that. So I would just say, be true to who you are, try and represent it as best as you can digitally, and go for it.
I mean, I agree. Of course, I agree with Icky. I would add one more point. Someone recently asked me, if I have a physical painting and I have an NFT and I sell the NFT, can I sell the physical painting separately? And for me, the answer is yes, because the physical painting and the digital image that is minted on a token are two different artworks. So you should be free to modify to your liking the digital artwork, and you can just say, you might just say in the description, this is an oil painting, for instance, with some, photo retouching, or with some slight editing in post-production. Okay, there is nothing wrong with that, and that is a piece of art in its own right, even if it starts from a physical painting that you created. And then you can sell them separately. Again, as long as it is communicated. So meaning, actually, no one actually ever gives you the physical painting when you buy the picture of the painting, but just saying the physical painting will be sold separately. And I don't see any problem with that. I actually see them as two different artworks.
Yeah, thank you all. Actually, I wanted to say hi to Money, but I think he got right. Money, if you don't mind, please join us. And I just really miss you, man. Okay, and let's hear Bob or
Aria, sorry. I just wanted to say I want to jump down so you can bring up more speakers. I don't want to take space up here. It was great to be here with you guys.
Yeah, I'm gonna be doing the same thing. I appreciate you for opening the space. Great discussion. There's a lot of valuable things, and I'm glad that it's recorded as well, so we can actually spread the word as well. So yeah, I'll be stepping down as well.
Yeah, thank you all. Actually, we are just going to finish it soon, and thank you for joining and collaborating with me. It's just a space for all of us, and thank you. Okay, Babor, do you want to go on? Hi. Are you there? Okay, it seems she's not here. Saide, hi Saide, how are you?
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Do you want to go on and say anything you want?
Actually, I have a question, but I don't know if I can I question or I should shield my artwork?
Go on. It is not actually the shilling space. I don't do that.
Okay, good, great. You know, I just I joined to your space just a couple of minutes ago, but I have question. I'm not sure is that related to your subject or not. But my question is about the, I don't know, as an artist, I don't know. I know maybe it's completely personal, but I just need your advice. Is that necessary for artists that choose a different platform for present their art, or no? It's not necessary. It's good to have stick on the platform that they work. You know, I have a two collection in two platform. One is OpenSea and the other one on the foundation. But I see a lot of platforms comes up and people and the artists join that, and I confused. Should I join to the new platform? Have to add the new art to the new platform? Am I miss something or no? It's not necessary. You know, this is sometimes I think it's a competition. We miss that. You know, this is actually my question about that.
Yeah, I'll try. I think I touched on this just earlier, but I appreciate you've joined in a bit late. But my view is you're not obligated to mint your work everywhere, but it's up to you. But I recommend it. I think it's worth, especially if you have variance in your work. If your work is very cohesive, then it doesn't really make a difference. But minting on multiple marketplaces, multiple chains, as long as you're consistent with your pricing and it makes sense, then these are different markets and different collectors, and different communities, and you know, I always think it's valuable to get yourself out there in as many places as possible, you know, without over flooding. You know, this idea of too much supply can sometimes lead to the wrong signals, you know, to the market, you know, in terms of your ability to sell work. So that's something you should consider. And I also just say thank you very much to the hosts. Thank you. Great to see you, Lord Truffington and Paradise. Thank you for co-hosting and all the great questions. I do unfortunately have to drop just now. I have some other commitments, but I really appreciate it, and I hope we can stay connected. And I'm sure I'll talk to you offline, and when you're back from Lisbon, let me know.
For sure.
Come for a drink by the river.
Absolutely, I love Battersea, so I'll definitely be there.
Yeah, anytime. And that's an open
You know,
invite
Icky,
to anybody. Yeah.
Ozzy just made a tweet today about I'm just like a gum under your actually feet, so I'm not going anywhere. I'm just with you and stick to you. So never mind.
Oh no,
that
no.
I'm going anywhere.
No, this is very important. Everybody here has incredible value to add, you know. And what I say to people is be accountable for the environment that you want to operate in. You know, you can do your part by supporting people and artists in terms of, you know, commenting, tweeting, engaging, you know, following good collectors that have integrity, you know, helping the thought leaders by sharing and liking and retweeting, you know, and talking to one another. You're accountable for that. And if you have links into the traditional domain to be talking to people, to be educating them that, you know, while there are lovely collectibles like apes, Lord Truffington, that isn't all there is here. And there's a whole wealth of art and things to experience within the art use case in NFT and on the blockchain, and furthermore. So your role here, each and every single one of you, is incredibly important, and don't see that someone that has had some success, or someone that has big money in their wallet, or somebody that has had a significant commercial career, you know, this we're all equal here, and it's about educating one another and uplifting one another. Like I said at the start, together to the top, right? And we're all equal. So all the best, big love, be kind to yourselves. Okay, take care. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, Icky. It was very great conversation, and I really enjoyed. I learned too much from you, and nice to meet you. We connect together. Thank you so much.
Catch you later, Icky. Bye bye. Okay, let's hear Ali and Massey and wrap it up. Hi, Ali.
Hi Magic, hi Pardis, hi Lord, hi family NFT. Have a nice day. Have a good morning, good afternoon. فقط اگر میشه اینجاشو ترجمه کنین ممنون میشم. ببخشید شرمنده، عذرخواهی میکنم جست دیگه
Okay, go
ایرانی
on,
شد.
go on.
اوکی. من اول از همه خیلی خوشحالم که تو این فضا اومدم. خیلی یه اتفاق بزرگی تو زندگی من بود که دوستای صمیمی پیدا کردم واقعا تو این فضا، که تو فضای فیزیکال اول از همه واقعا میشه یه برعکسش رو میشه گفتش که نمیشه پیدا کرد. حالا چه از نظر هنرمند، آرتیست، نقاش، عکاس، خیلی از هنرهای دیگه و حتی مجموعه دار. اگر اینجا شد تا اینجا ترجمه کنی ممنون میشه.
Okay, yeah. Actually, Ali wanted to share his experience about physical and traditional art, and he's saying that it is so unique that you cannot find it in digital world somehow. So he's okay, Ali, میتونی الان بقیه‌اش بگی.
و یه اتفاق خیلی خوبی که به نظر من تا اینجا قضیه تو NFT افتاده، اون قضیه این که خب یه سری از گالری دارا یه سری از هنرمندا رو قبول نمی‌کردن. یعنی تو اون قضیه گالری مافیا بود. اون مافیا دیگه به نظر شخصی من حذف شده. یعنی شما حالا ممکنه کارت فروش نره، ولی همینی که اون هنرمندای دیگه کار شما رو میبینن، در مورد کارت نظر میدن، نقد میکنن، این خیلی خودش ارزشمنده به نظر من.
And he's mentioning that in traditional world, you just had to take your art to galleries, but nowadays you can just take it to NFTs without any third parties. And that's the good point of Web3, that you can just engage with other artists, collectors. Even if you have no sales, you have somewhere to share your art, and that's the actually magic of Web3. Okay, thank you, Ali Jan. Thank you for joining. And Massey, do you want to add anything? Hi, Massey.
So, can I talk about my experience and then ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I've been painting for 14 years, but before I found NFT, it was just me and my family who knew about my pieces and commented on it. But so for a long time, I was stuck in a place. But since I started NFT, I received other artists' opinion, and being in a community, I learned and got inspired from other artists. So as a result, I've improved so much. And what's more important is that like now, I'm in a community of artists, and I can express myself better, and I can be seen and praised. And thank you for that. And my question is, what is the best type of like modifying and post-production of pieces like vectors, 2Ds, 3Ds? If you can explain it to me, have any opinion on that?
I mean, I'm not the right person to ask that. I never opened Photoshop in my life, so I absolutely don't know. I just like what I see. I just like when I see something that catches my eye, but I am absolutely in no position to advise you on different way to edit your work.
Yeah, I think it is mostly about your taste, and you have to find those people who are resonating with your art. And It's something like that. I don't think that we can just say which is better.
Actually,
Okay,
for
I
the
agree.
I think for the visual art, we have too much different things that we can actually add on the NFT, and this is the most important thing about the visual art. And yeah, that is depend of you and depend of your vision. You can add anything that you want and just improve your art. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming and joining us. And Ibabor, for the last person, do you want to say something?
Hi,
Hi, how are
Magic
you?
Laura. I'm doing wonderful. Let me quickly introduce myself to those who don't know me yet, although I see a lot of familiar faces here. I'm an artist from Russia. I've been in art for more than 20 years, had lots of exhibitions and award-winning artist, and I'm in NFTs for 5 months. I've sold out 2 of my collections, and I wanted to add to what Lord Truffington said about physical art and NFTs, because I actually do both. I do physical art, and obviously I started to sell physical art much earlier than I started to sell NFTs. And yeah, I absolutely agree that this is are just 2 different, absolutely different pieces, because I have some arts sold as physical pieces to collectors, to galleries, and I right now mint some of them as NFTs, and I'm absolutely honest in it. So it's just another thing that some people ask if they can have physical art together with NFTs, and it can be discussed. I discuss it like in DMs with people, and I can, for example, for some pieces, I can raise the price and put both physical art and the NFTs as one NFT. Also, like one person have asked for commercial rights for one of the art pieces because they want to make clothes lines with it, and I think it's just it's an additional thing that is not included in NFTs. It's not included to having physical art. It's just a separate thing. So I can price such things differently and still kind of sell them as NFTs. So I hopefully it will work out with those collectors. We'll see. And yes, thank you for hosting this space, for connecting us together. It's really appreciated, and thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Lord, I want to ask something a little personal, if you don't mind, as the last question. You know, I'm working on stories, and I really love stories, but I see people, I don't know, maybe it's because we are just living in a world that everything is so fast, reading is so fast, learning is so fast, everything. And I don't see that people just really go with the stories. Do you think stories are good for being in NFTs? Because it's a little personal, sorry for asking that, but I really need the answer. you don't mind.
What do you mean by story? Can you elaborate? Like, is it like a book or is it something related to NFTs that you want to mint?
Yeah. You know, my collection is story based, and if you're just looking at it, maybe you cannot get all the things. You have to go through the story. You have to read the story about the characters and their relations and things like that. And it's story based. And I see some collections. For example, I saw that Bored Apes just made a collection of a book, Bored and Dangerous, if you have heard about it. That's a collection of a story, but I see it so rare in this market, and I'm just having tough days these days because I see people maybe somehow doesn't like and pay attention to stories. So I wanted to see what you think.
It's look, it's a very good point. I think your observation is correct. I see even just something as small as a tweet. You know, when you have a tweet thread with 2 subsequent tweets, you get people to read the first one and don't even go and read the second one. Like, unfortunately, the current velocity of our modern life has brought us all to have almost non-existent attention spans, and so we just want the kick from reading something, from looking at an image, and then we move on to the next thing. So most certainly, it is more of a challenge when there is a story, when there is something that needs to be understood, when there is a reading key, a key that gives the meaning to what you see, for instance. So it is harder, and that needs to be done repeatedly, non-stop, I would say, by you on Twitter, through your collectors, have people talk about that and say, oh, this project, this art is not just a single art, but they're all linked, and I love how the story, what this part is, etc. Like, it needs to be, just putting it in the description, I do agree, will not be read by a lot of people, because that's the nature of, again, the modern life. It's unfortunate. I would say to try to paint the picture, try to give the story itself and the common theme and the link between one piece and another, to make it as to repeat it as many times as possible. Maybe, for instance, posting 4 pictures in a tweet and say, this is the story, this is why they are linked, so that people start seeing and reading that there is a common link, and maybe if they like the art, they go and expand and trying to learn a little bit more.
Yeah, thank you. You know why I asked that? Because I was talking to Nicholas today, Nicholas Betts, and he told me that you have a very tough days to go on with, because mostly people don't care about reading, and they are animated, and in the middle you can in the middle of the animation you can just read the story, but he just told me that ridiculously people don't even go on to the end of the animation. So yeah, I just wanted to know your view as well, and thank you for just giving your opinion. And Ibabor, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to say my opinion about storytelling. I think that even though people are lazy, many of people, and even though people are mostly like taking all the information with their eyes, but having these stories will sure fit your arts, and that's the good thing, is that we have those spaces where we can tell people those stories, tell them about their art, because they have ears, they can hear. They might not like to read, but they can hear. So your art is kind of is sufficient by itself. So it should be good by itself. But when like people see story behind it, it makes it richer. So not many will read, maybe, but those who will, and those who will listen to you, they will appreciate it more. So it will make it still kind of more deep for your collectors. That's what I think. So I think that storytelling is very important thing, even though for some people it will fly by and they will not read it. Some will, and some will appreciate it really, really much.
Let me add a point. Let me add a very important point here. We said earlier that when you create a piece, you need to create awareness of that piece. Your story is, you need to look at your story as another artwork that you need to give exposure to. So don't just create the art and that's it. If there is a story, if there is a narrative, there is an important theme, or a theme that is important to better understand the art, you need to market, in quotes, you need to market that as well. So make it as your job, not just to show the image, but to market the narrative underneath.
Yeah, thank you. It was a very, very nice point. I have just to think about it and figure out how can I just do that. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining me and talking to me and making your connections. Thank you. It was so cool to have you all here. And for the last point, I have such spaces on Saturdays and Wednesdays with a lot of lovely souls every week. So please join me on these shows, because you can just make your connections as well as me, and we can just make a very nice community here. So please come back again. Sorry if I cannot just accept any more requests, because it is just too late and I have to just finish the space. So if you couldn't just get all the things here, I mostly put all of the spaces on my YouTube, so you can use actually the subtitles titles there because I just put it for you. And thank you for joining me, talking and making your connections. Love to have all of you. And bye-bye from me.
Thank you so much to join with us. Thank you, Paria, Jan, again for running this space. It was a really great space, and I want to say thank you for the too much listener that they are with us from the first of the spaces, and this space is not it's about more than 2 hours. And thank you, everyone. It was a really great space. Thank you, Lord. Nice to meet you, and nice to meet you, every beautiful soul that we see together. And yeah, see you again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.